Hey folks, it's August 4th, 2023, and it's Friday night, and tonight in about 45 minutes they're gonna have a parade down in Farmington up at a Pumpkin Hook near the town facilities and the Carnival. The parade is only part of it. The Carnival started last night, and there's been festivities going on since yesterday. Tomorrow night at 10 o'clock there'll be fireworks. So I just want to let you know there's a lot of great fun things to do in our area, and some people don't even know about it, live in Victor, but Victor and Farmington are joined by the school district and real close together, and they participate in our parades and we participate in their parades and our fire department. And it also helps the fire department, and so it's more like the old-fashioned fire department carnivals, beer tent, all that. Don't drink and drive. It definitely does not pay, and it's not wise, and it's illegal and all that other stuff. But go have some fun. If you got a designated driver and you want to tip a few, then it's still legal to do that. It might not be advisable, but anyway, so it's a great weekend to have a lot of fun. We've had a lot of rain lately. The weather is super nice today and tonight and probably tomorrow for the fireworks display at 10 o'clock. So check it out. And then next week we've got another big event. Last year was the first year, and it's the Food and Music Festival here in Victor. Not anywhere close to as good as, in my opinion, as the Hang Around Victor Day. But along with Hometown Day and Climb Aboard Victor, there's 3 different events going on that you should all check out here in Victor. They're doing the best to make some things happen around here where we have fun. Victor Parks and Recreation does a lot of stuff. Check out what they're up to. They have music almost every weekend up at the park. So, there's plenty of things to do around here, including just taking hikes with Victor Hiking Trails. And but I wanted to also say some things. I'm a very positive and constructive person in general, but I have actually been had my character assassinated, or an attempt at it, by the town supervisor and the director of development. In my opinion, I don't know what the heck she must have said, but the reaction was that I was some sort of a domestic terrorist or somebody who was going to do violence on people or something. I still don't have any information on it. None of it's public, which I think is also a problem. But take a look down here. This is a railroad track that I believe, for the most part, everybody agrees that it would be okay to have this as a road. Now, there is still room for a railroad track and a road alongside of it that is still wide enough to be able to do that, and it was actually part of the tie-in proposal, or whatever they put out. I don't know if it was a proposal, but report or whatever it was. Yeah, they're specialized in municipal infrastructure. They've planned entire cities. So they're up in Rochester. But beyond that, so the talk about doing that, I'm okay with it. I think it's a good idea. It'll help relieve the traffic, sort of a traffic relief route, as long as it doesn't take the spur out that goes to Victor Insulator. Now, I know they're saying now it's not our fault, it's the county and the Finger Lakes Rail, and they're the ones that are deciding on it. Well, that's not true. You could believe that if you want, but there was money available. Nobody went for the grants. They pretty much planned Victor Insulators out of existence by making that decision. That'll be their legacy, and this in part is my decision, or my opinion. But I believe that the town supervisor either was absent without leave, missing in action, whatever you want to call it, or he actually wanted the rail to be taken out, because right through the beginning of the process all the way to now, even, he has not said anything about the need to keep that spur to Victor Insulator there. And he has a tendency to play both sides against the middle, and doesn't take any public positions on things. But he'll talk to you in private. He'll have everybody believing that he's on their side. That's my impression of him. I don't trust him, and I don't have a problem saying that. It has nothing to do with what he decided to do with me. It just has to do with how he is, and maybe that makes him qualified to be a politician, and maybe that actually is something that being a politician, that's a good attribute. For me, I don't think it is. So anyway, I'm going to walk across the street here and hopefully not get hit. But imagine this whole area all the way up to the spur that goes off to Victor Insulator, this rail is taken out. So the Food and Music Festival that is coming up, would you be able to block this whole area off? I don't know if they'd widen the street or how they do it, but all the businesses along here would benefit. That would be good. It would give a ability to not bypass the village, but sort of reroute the traffic that goes through the village. People that want a quicker route to go south on 444 would have it whenever the traffic got really, intense. So I think it's a good move, and I think that the traffic report that Thailand came out with showed that. They said there was no significant benefit, though, continuing a road past Maple Avenue up there. So that was the experts. All right. So I want to bring up some things, though. The planning in Victor, New York. All right. I don't know if most of you know what this big vacant lot is, but it's never been used for parking or anything for the last 10-15 years when we had community events, in part because I think the owner of the property and the village are not on good terms, and they don't really want to work with anybody representing the town or village of Victor for some reason. That's my guess. But I can tell you, I've been involved for a while here. I want you to know that about 20 years ago, there was something called the Market Basket. It was a small grocery store. No, they didn't have everything that I wanted, and no, the prices were a little higher, and no, not everything was as fresh. But it was a guy and his family that he had retired from Wegmans, I believe, and he took his retirement savings, poured it into this, and tried to make a go of it. Now, the village said they wanted a grocery store, and the whole time that they were saying that they wanted to have a grocery store, they already had one. But if you look at the far corner up there near where Canandaigua National Bank and Mead Square Pharmacy meet and all that, that used to be pretty much just a water hole, pothole. And the owner tried to repair it multiple times. But the reason it occurred in the first place was really the village. If the village wanted to keep or have a grocery store, they should have done a better job of engineering Mead Square Pharmacy. See, they raised it up about 2 or 3 feet, caused the problem. Then there was a drainage problem in that corner, and then this property owner was expected to fix it. The village should have fixed it. They're the ones that caused the problem. Go ahead, look it up if you want to. Look it up on the record. You might have some people that were involved in politics back then say I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know what happened. And so it's really sad. The planning process, Urban Renewal Agency, Local Development Corporation, all that, they have the ability to say how great a job they're doing all the time, and probably they have done some good along the way, but I don't know how. If they really did much better job, Victor would have developed anyway. I don't know for sure. The fact that they can get grants and stuff for facade improvements and all that, there's some other things. There's some positives about it, but the negatives are we have a vacant lot here, and it's been more than 10 years, and it could be used for a lot of things. In fact, Burn Dairy actually inquired and was looking to build something here, but they found some of the codes wouldn't allow them to do it, and I don't know, they jumped off the table. I don't know the whole story on that. There isn't anything public about it, though. There's an awful lot of things that go around in Victor, in the village, in the town, that are not public, that the community is just not going to find out about because of, for instance, the Local Development Corporation. They're, to a large extent, they don't have to report to the people. Whenever they have a meeting where they have a certain amount of government officials there, they're supposed to keep minutes, but just like with the steering committee of, was it Route 96 corridor study or planning process or project or whatever Labella did, you look at what they call minutes, and you don't really find out who said what was there a vote taken, who decided on what. I mean, it's not really minutes, it's just notes, meeting notes. Well, I guess you could call them minutes, I don't know. But legally, the way it's supposed to happen is you're supposed to be able to know what your representatives are voting on. You're supposed to have some sort of record of the discussions and who voted for what. And that did not take place. So I have a lot of problems with the Local Development Corporation, and this was long before I had difficulties with Kathy Rayburn. And and I've been on the record, there's video of it and all that other stuff. I just don't think it should exist. I just don't. I don't think a lot of the people that are making decisions for planning in Victor, obviously something's wrong. That we have that, and then down here on the corner you have was an active business, was an antique dealer working out of that building. Of course the building sold, and then I don't know if that was Local Development Corporation involved in lining everything up, but something fell apart, because that building has been vacant for 4 or 5 years. They started to remodel it, and it looks like a great building for something. I mean, maybe a restaurant and all that, but what's going on? You know, what's going on? See, I mean, a Local Development Corporation and the Director of Development, you should be able to ask them and find out. It should not be private information. You can say, well, maybe the landowner, you'd have to talk to them or whatever, but you'd at least be able to give a sketchy idea of what's going on. So, yeah. And then Mickey Finn's, they were going to try some kind of incubator experiment to have small businesses in, and they basically made a deal subject to some conditions and stuff with the owner of the building of Mickey Finn's. Not Mickey Finn's, I guess Finn's bar and tap room or whatever. But the owner of that building, and this has nothing to do with the property owners. I don't have any problem with the property owners. They do what they want with their properties. But they pretty much had the impression that they were going to be selling the building to Local Development Corporation to try an experiment. The bank did not give them a loan, so that whole thing fell apart. But in the meantime, the actual business that was inside, perhaps it would have happened anyway. But I don't know. I've heard things that maybe would indicate to me that would not have happened. They would have probably stayed there. I don't know. But one thing or another, I don't know what it is, but think about that. That's been empty, vacant for 2 years now. So, you know, planners and all that for governments and stuff that usually are not qualified to be making decisions. They might be qualified to play Monopoly, but you know, to actually make bigger decisions or attract the right people and get the right things going on. Like what happened to our grocery store? That was actually, and I think it still is, like one of the priorities for the village to have a small grocery store. Do we have one? No. Maybe Speedway. It's a little bit of a convenience store, but that wasn't the idea of it. And so yeah, I mean, I don't know. So this section here, though, I want to say some very constructive things. What I would like to see is, if that rail gets taken out, I would like to see a pavilion over here that people, the bands and stuff, when we have our festivals, they could play. And there could be more festivals. Maybe there'd be more music on a regular basis right here. Close off Adams Street whenever we do it, like for the Food and Music Festival. And then the fire department has their barbecue. You could probably close Adams Street off to right here, to where then the fire department could go out that way over onto Maple Avenue. So if there was an emergency or something, we could continue on with our festival and the fire department could still do their work and what they had to do. But yeah, and then so over here at the library, I mean, think of this whole area being blocked off. Vendors, music, everything. I know they're going to have it, but it's all going to be there. And then the parking will be way over at Fireman's Field or the village municipal parking for the Food and Musical Fest. That lot over there in that corner vacant would be great for parking, but like I said, Something's wrong. Don't know what it is, but that owner just does not want to do anything that would help us really have a better community. And he might have good reason, he or she, I don't even know who owns it. So that being said, you know, the Food and Music Festival last year was great, and I think you should come out. And they're gonna have fireworks off over in that direction. But can you imagine a stand for music over here, fireworks going off in the background, and then this rail right here, not the close one, but the one that's farther away, stays active. And guess what you could have there? See, Victor doesn't really have any tourism draw anymore. Not much. Ganondigan, yes. But beyond that, you know, there's not much draw at all. But what could be, it could be a place where train tourism occurs. See, the reason why, I mean, first off, this rail should be maintained, kept for Victor insulators. I believe it actually is a national security issue to only have the last manufacturer of wet porcelain insulators, or one of the last two. I think LAP does some, but not very many. But the big player in it, in all of North America, is right here in Victor, New York. And that's been the case for, I think, 125, 130 years. If you know the history of Victor Insulator, there's a lot of reasons it should be kept just for historic reasons. But think about this. We're supposed to go green and double the grid, and we're not going to have American-made insulators? Or we have some kind of problem, trade problem, or maybe even war or something, or some way we can't get our insulators from China and the other places that it comes from. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So, absolutely. I mean, if there's money available, which I know there is, at the federal level infrastructure bill, handed now to the states could make the decision to keep this. You won't see anything on the record, one way or the other, from our town supervisor, or I don't even think from any of our town officials, as to the fact that we should keep this rail spur. So that rail spur should be kept for that reason. Now the bonus to it would be that we would have a draw to Victor. We would have train tourism. Every time Friends of the Railroad has done I think almost every time, pretty close to every single time that they've done any excursion out of Victor or Canandaigua, they've sold it out. They've sold out the excursions. It's a great family fun thing to do. And this rail is perfect for that. It goes back and forth, go to Manchester and come back, or whatever. Go down that way and come back. But it's great because Victor Insulator doesn't have a lot of deliveries. It's great because there isn't any other clients on this run. So the second client would be train tourism and rail bikes. Have you seen rail bikes? I mean, down in Penn Yan, she sold out at the beginning of the season before the season even begins. And those ticket prices are expensive. So there's a high demand for that kind of stuff. But Victor's throwing it away. For whatever reason, it was not in the plan. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the plan was to get rid of the rails going back all the way to 2018. Not the public conversation, not the public meetings, but all the private ones that the town supervisor had at various levels, including the town level. And the mayor, Victor, plays second fiddle. He's a great guy, very popular. He'll probably get elected again, no matter what I would say. But I don't think he's very good, partially because he's a part-time mayor and he's got a full-time gig. But he also just pretty much toes the line for whatever the town supervisor says. Hello. And that's my opinion. I believe that to be true. But he said to me more than one time, after I make points, which I think most people, if you've actually listened this long, you could tell I might not have all the answers and I don't have all the greatest ideas, but I have something to contribute. And he just says, well, everybody has a right to their opinion when he disagrees with me. And that's his polite way of saying, yeah, that's all well and good, Randy, but I've got the power. He said it pretty much to all of the people who live in the village recently, or a good number of them. Huge surveys, huge response to some online surveys that I did. Way bigger than any that the town and the Parks and Recreation and La Bella put out. I had I had a great turnout, and most of them, not everyone, but most of them were from the village of Victor, town of Victor, some from Farmington, all saying that they wanted to have train tourism and they wanted to keep the rail for Victor Insulator. And he totally ignored it, and he thinks that the rail should be taken up. He doesn't think there should be any rail in Victor anymore. That's the mayor, Gary Haddon. You don't have to listen to other people's opinions, but you should. But you don't have to. And you are very popular, and you're a very nice guy. I like you a lot, but you're wrong on this. Well, like you say, everybody has a right to their opinion, and that's mine. So, yes, huge festival. This taking the rail out here, putting a road down to 251, makes traveling through Victor better. Reroutes things. People could just turn different directions, probably get more business in the village. Oh yeah, the mayor is also on the record of saying that the 251 to School Street is not a bypass. That's true, it's not. But when this rail is no longer in use, well, who's going to pay for it also? This could just end up being an abandoned railroad, abandoned Victor Insulators, or seriously downsize Victor Insulator because their costs go up because they have to do truck, which doesn't work as well. It affects their quality control too. But so regardless, I mean, it's not good. It's an adverse impact on Victor Insulator, which was left out of the environmental impact study conveniently. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I almost lost my train of thought, except for I'm talking about the track. So. Well, I've said enough. I could just say, yes, the mayor of the village of Victor and the village government they're all part-timers. I think in general they do a great job, considering they're all part-timers. But you can't just elect somebody because they're popular and just give them a free pass on some things. He should have to answer to the fact that he's not just ignoring my opinion, he's ignoring most people's opinion on what should happen here. And I guess I'll leave it at that. Have a great day.